Oh, is it filming? What? Okay. Hey everybody, welcome back to Homeschool Histories, and this is my post-Christmas episode. So real quick, I'm just going to be telling you the things I got for Christmas. So, as you can see, I got the iPod Touch I wanted, the iPod Touch 5, so that's pretty epic. I also got Mega Minx, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure the 5x5 Rubik's Cube is on its way. And I also got a microphone, which I'm using for this episode. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm not sure if it's going to be as good as I thought, but we'll see. Okay, and I think that's about it. There's a few other things, except they're not like huge things. I got some candy, of course. Anyways, so as you may have guessed, today I'm going to be reviewing The Hobbit, because I saw that last Tuesday. All right. So, without further ado, The Hobbit movie review. Okay, so in general, I really like the series of The Hobbit. I mean, there were a few things I didn't like about it. So, I'm just gonna go through each movie and sort of say the things I liked and didn't like, and then just wrap it up at the end. So, the first movie. So when I first saw the first movie, I was sort of confused because of all the stuff they added in. Like when the first time you see it, it's sort of like, oh, that wasn't in the book. Why did they do that? But then later you're just like, well, whatever. It's okay. And they actually sort of get used to it and start to like it. And it made Thorin a more interesting character anyways. So that was that was okay, I guess. And then I also feel like the makers of the movie kind of tried too hard to make it kind of exciting, or more exciting than the actual story is. So it's not really supposed to be a lead into the Lord of the Rings. Although Tolkien has said that he would have liked to rewrite The Hobbit so that it would lead into the Lord of the Rings. So in that way, I guess they might have completed Tolkien's wishes a little bit. Yeah, the lead into the adventure, however, in the first movie, that was a little long. I mean, first, Bilbo was talking about Erebor and everything, and blah blah blah, the backstory, which is sort of necessary, but they feel like they still spent a little too long on all the details of it. But it was still interesting. You might never realize this, but Bilbo doesn't actually leave the Shire until 43 minutes into the movie. So that's an interesting fact, but it's not really that bad of a thing. Okay, so yeah, I feel like however much is kind of cool how they added in the stuff with like the Dark Lord is coming and blah blah blah. I feel like it's sort of distracted from the main story a little too much. If you know what I mean. Like there's the main story of Bilbo and stuff, and then it's sort of separated from all that. They try to connect it, except it's reaching a little bit to try and connect the story with Bilbo and then the story with Sauron and stuff. But I think they did a pretty good job of it nevertheless. Okay, so I also really liked the little speech that Bilbo gave when he came out of the mountain, and like it wasn't anything really big, except I mean he's a hobbit, and it sort of fits him how he's like, it's something that's kind of small but it's really sweet, and I just really liked it a lot. Alright, moving on to the second movie. Okay, so first of all, this was probably my favorite of the three movies, in case you're wondering. I mean, the one thing that wasn't as great about this movie is that they spent a little bit too much time dwelling on, like, Mirkwood. I mean, I guess in the original movie, it's not quite as long, but it's still kind of exhausting. And then in the extended edition, they add like another extra 5 minutes of Mirkwood. It's like, oh my gosh, just get through this. But that's how it is in the book. So, I mean, I guess they're trying to make a point there, but could have done a little bit not as much like that. Anyways, I do think that, let's see, the Elf Kingdom Tauriel was an interesting addition to the series. I mean, I feel like they just added it so that people would go to see it, so that they could see partly romance, other than just all the Hobbit stuff. So it was pretty interesting.
There you go. Oh.
Anyways, after that little distraction there, right. So the elves. So Tauriel was an interesting addition. I feel like they're just trying to make an interesting romantic situation. I mean, I like romance, in case you're wondering. I'm not against romance. The best part of this movie to me was Smaug. You gotta love Smaug. I mean, it's like a creepy, evil guy who knows everything. It's so cool. Yeah, so the best part with Smaug, I think, was when they first revealed him. Like when Bilbo's searching through the gold and then he starts breathing. It was really epic. I just have to say that.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay. So Smaug was very well made and just right on the dot for the dragon idea. They did a really good job with Smaug. Anyways, now the third movie. Some of you have not seen this movie, so I mean, some of you haven't seen the other movies too. But if you don't care, then you can watch this part, but some of you do care. And if you've read the book, then it won't matter quite as much. Anyways, so the third movie. I think that the beginning, it was kind of confusing with the beginning, because the beginning was like a big climax part of the movie. The movie starts with Smaug terrorizing the city and stuff. So you're sort of like, whoa, and then suddenly Bard kills Smaug, and you're like, okay. And that was like in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie. So you're just sort of left hanging, and you're like, okay. Right. But yeah, so Smaug's death is a little bit abrupt. And since he is one of my favorite characters in the movie, I was kind of sad when he died. So yeah, the beginning was a little bit abrupt, but what can you really do? I also think the dwarves were in the mountain for a little too long. Because, like, they were in there for so long. Like, they wouldn't come out. Because Thorin was keeping them, so it was like, oh, they're having a big battle outside, and people are dying, and blah, blah. So they're just, like, sitting in their mountain, hiding. And they didn't go out until, like, the last 20 or 30 minutes of the movie. And they were staying in the mountain. Yeah, they're staying in the mountain for, like, that entire time. It's like, oh my goodness, get out of the mountain. But I guess it was kind of necessary to show how selfish Thorin was being. But it was still exhausting. So, the Battle of Five Armies. It was pretty cool. I have to admit that it was a cool battle. But I felt like it was a little drawn out, and also there wasn't enough, like, big battle sequence stuff. Like, probably my favorite battle scene in Lord of the Rings was the Battle of Helm's Deep. That was a really good battle. It was well made. And this battle was kind of chaotic, I guess. But my favorite part of the battle was probably when Thorin tossed the big mace that Azog had at Azog, and then Azog, like, sunk into the ice because one stepped off the ice thing. So I was like, it was funny. And then you're just, like, floating under the ice, and you're like, is he dead? Is he dead? Like, that's what everyone's thinking. And Thorin's just, like, staring at him, and his eyes are open. Then he closes them. Boom! Opens his eyes and stabs Thorin through the foot, and you're like, oh my gosh! And then he jumps out of the ice. And then you're like, okay, he's not dead yet. Oh my goodness. So that was kind of like, But that was still a funny part when he threw the mace at Azog and he fell in the ice. And some parts of the movie I really liked. I really liked how Bilbo had kept the little chestnut from from Beorn's gardens, and he was gonna plant the tree at Hobbiton. Nice little thing. And then they bring it back when Thorin's dying. He's like, go back to Shire and enjoy the rest of your life and plant your trees and blah blah blah. Okay, I'm not good at reenacting these things, okay? But I really liked that part. So, and then the end of the movie was really nice because it was old Bilbo in his hobbit hole and Gandalf was Gandalf was knocking at the door, and then he was like, no unexpected visitor, blah blah blah, and he's like, how about very old friends? And then Bilbo looks so happy. So it sort of showed Bilbo's perspective, because in The Lord of the Rings it shows Gandalf's perspective when he's waiting outside the door. But then it shows Bilbo inside and he's like so happy that Gandalf is there. But anyways, probably the biggest thing I didn't like about the Hobbit series was how fake / unreal it seemed. Because they can use so much CGI and they can sort of get away with it, I think they used too much of it, and then it sort of brought down the realistic effect of the movie. Because in Lord of the Rings, they didn't have all the CGI stuff, so they didn't use it as much, and it made the movie seem more real, because they actually tried to make all the stuff that they could. But then Hobbit is sort of like, too much CGI. So overall, it's a good series. You should see it, but it was kind of it seemed a little bit fake, and also seemed a little bit drawn out because they're making one book that's not even that long into 3 3-hour movies if you see the extended edition. So that's all I have to say about The Hobbit. So sorry about the spoilers if you guys want to see a spoiler version, but let me know for my next movie review if you think I should do spoiler version, because I think the next one I'm going to be doing will be on some Marvel movie, or maybe even on Lord of the Rings, just to compare. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So put in the comments your favorite Hobbit movie. Which one of the 3 was your favorite? And also your favorite character in the movies, if you saw them at least. So put that in the comments. Subscribe, leave a like. Thanks for watching. See you next week.